Hey, it's Camo for Nashville Access, Pie Wagon Sessions. We're here with somebody that I've never had on the show before and should have, but you were in Texas and now you're here. Moonlight Social.
Hello, everybody.
Jennica and Jeremy, or whichever works for you.
Jennica and Jeremy, yeah.
Starsky, Hutch.
Hall Oates, etc.
Now, you guys just moved to Nashville a few months ago, didn't you?
Yeah, not too long ago. We visited quite a bit.
Yeah.
You know, that's actually how we first met y'all, was when we were still in Texas, but we'd come up to visit. And eventually we just decided that the plane tickets were getting too expensive, so we should just move.
We're also tired of coming up here and sleeping on the floor and stuff.
Yeah. We were like, we need an actual bed to sleep on this time.
Having an address is nice.
Yeah. It is, yes.
Has there been a big adjustment between Austin and Nashville? I mean, they're both music cities, but in a different way.
They are, and I get a lot of people that ask me, like, well, why'd you move from Austin to Nashville? They're both music cities.
Yeah.
You could have just stayed there. For me, the biggest difference is that there's much more of a country music presence,
Yeah.
I feel like, here than there is in Austin. And Austin's real fun, and it's super easy to, like, go out and get a band together and play with your friends and all that jazz. But, like, I love the business-oriented side of the music that lives here.
Yeah.
And it's, I feel like I've been able to experience so many cool country music things since I've been here. 'Cause it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of times it just pops up here, and you know, I would say culturally they're very similar. Like people are like, there is a lot of music, and people are really into that, and it's cool to be in a band. You know, like nobody's like, oh, but what do you really want to do? You know, like if you tell somebody that you're a musician in either town, they take it seriously, which is cool. So that wasn't too hard, but it's hard not being able to go to Texas football games.
Yeah.
So we both went to the University of Texas, but great people here too.
Good.
Yeah.
Yep, that's right. Good win last weekend, not so much the weekend.
We are nervous about this weekend, so we're just gonna.
And how about USC with this 4-0 nonsense?
Are you kidding me? Whatever.
Serious.
I've never heard of somebody vacating a loss. So they got in trouble, and they said you have to take all your wins away. And so they also decided that means they could take their only loss away, which was like the greatest college football game of all time.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes sense.
I hope it's a spanking this weekend.
I know, right?
that we hand out.
Yeah.
I love the way Ray Wiley Hubbard always described the difference between Nashville and Austin. You know, that in Nashville you get up in the morning, you have a songwriting session. You have lunch, then you have a songwriting session. Then you go out and play showcase, or you're pitching your songs to somebody, and it's all about getting a cut. And in Austin, you wake up at about 11, smoke a joint, and maybe write a song with one of your friends, or maybe not.
Yeah, I mean, that slacker vibe is definitely a real thing.
Yeah.
There's a hustle here that's unlike anything else.
Yeah, it is different. What's probably been the coolest thing you've taken away from being here in Nashville now?
I think, for me personally, just like the overwhelming welcoming that the community has. Like, a lot of times you'll see something like LA where everybody feels like there's a bit of competition, and don't get me wrong, songwriters are competitive people, and there is like competition in the scene, but everybody feels like come on and join me.
It's a competitive, but also really kind of everybody will help you.
It's like competitive in a really friendly way.
Yeah, like people are still want to get together and write, and they want to meet you, and they want to rise up together, or they want to offer a hand out however they can, which I feel like sometimes it's not always that way in other cities. And so
here it's kind of like, I'll open the door for you, and then once the door's open, it's up to you.
Yeah.
Right.
Whereas other places, I'm not even telling you the address.
Yeah.
Like, I might give you the wrong address, actually.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I go to the actual address,
right.
and they talk bad about you.
For me, like, seeing everybody work so hard and to be the best that they can be is like inspirational. I mean, don't get me wrong, in Austin, like, we were trying to be the best that we could be, but it's everywhere. You can throw a rock and hit a songwriter or a singer or a guitar player that's trying actively to be better than you.
Yeah.
So it's like everybody, I don't know, seeing it for me was like, ooh, awesome. Everybody wants to be good. I want to be good. Let's do this. Let's like be the best. And not even just musicians, but people.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Step the game up.
Yeah.
Which kind of leads me to the next question. With your music, have you had to change the way you make music here?
No. That's the short answer.
We'll move on.
Next question.
I mean, yes, in the actual, like, you know, when we made our newest music, which includes our newest single that we covered with Julia, that process was different than in Austin, because in Austin we met a producer and, you know, kind of brought some people in from other. First of all, we had to have a drummer come in from Houston. Even though we were in Austin, we had, you know, the right guy had to come in from Houston, and we were kind of figuring out working as we go. Here, it's like we had some of the best right off the bat. I mean, everybody showed up and they were like, yeah, we got the tunes ready. We had one rehearsal and got everything done. I mean, you know, like, it's, yeah. So in that sense, absolutely. But in the sense of what are we trying to write and what's the evolution of our sound and where are we going, I think we're doing the same thing. You know, I mean, it sounds, and you know, it is what we're millennials, and so we're making millennial country music that other millennials will probably enjoy because, like, these are our experiences, right? The song we wrote about with her was like, how would we actually be in this real situation, right? You hear a lot of hookup songs, and we don't, like, that's not really like what we do. Like, our generation isn't like necessarily that. It's more like be on our phones and talk memes and just be really sarcastic all the time. Like,
any bare feet on the dash kind of songs?
No, we don't have any bare feet on the dash.
Tailgate,
It was funny when we went into the studio the first day with the guys. Someone made a comment that was like, I think this is the first thing that I've played on in years that doesn't mention whiskey or cigarettes or a truck of some sort. And we were just like,
yeah. So in that sense, no. And you know, we pride ourselves on trying to just go with the flow and write things that we love and that we believe in, that we want to listen to. So.
Well, and being Texas artists, that's still deeply ingrained in you musically, and so writing about pickup trucks and whiskey and stuff just doesn't.
Yeah, there's this thing about Texas that's like that. You know, I mean, it's everybody's trying to like figure out what works in some sense, and we're just trying to figure out what works for us, and what do we want to sing every day, and you know, maybe in 10 years when we've evolved a little bit more to a different level, like we still will keep doing what we ultimately want to do. And Texas has this like fierce independence about it, which is where that comes from. Like, we came here not like how do we be like everybody else, but we came here like how do we stand out and like present ourselves the most. So I think that's the Texas for sure.
Are you working toward an album right now? Because this is your second single.
Yeah.
Well, third single, but second from
yes.
the new project.
So we are being tight-lipped about what we have and what we're working towards and how it's coming out. But there is much more to come. Is the short answer. So
that's cool.
The short, very non-specific.
The non-specific bad answer.
So you're trying to get a job in government. Say something without saying anything at all.
Let me send you to my supervisor.
Yeah, that's above my pay grade.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
With your writing, how much has that? I mean, you were coming to Nashville to write, but has that changed at all?
I think I think we definitely have developed as writers the more co-writes that we have, because before we started coming to Nashville, we really didn't co-write with anybody but ourselves.
Yeah, that's a Nashville thing.
Yeah, like, to me, us writing together doesn't feel like a co-write.
Yeah.
I write on my own and he writes on his own, but when we write together, it's very much like one person kind of doing it, one entity. But learning different co-writing styles and how different people work and how their processes are and stuff like that, I feel like has helped us as writers to be more adaptive and to be more kind of go with the flow and to figure out how to work best with everybody. And I think it shows in our music, because sometimes we'll write with one person and then there's very much a style of song that comes out of that, and writing with another person, like, you can write an equally good song but it sounds totally different. For me, that's helped me a lot to develop as a writer. Like, I enjoy the fact that we can get different sounds and different themes and stuff like that.
When I first started, it was like, oh, we're always going to try to write something that is something we want to write, and then if it's starting to not go that direction, I was hesitant And now I'm realizing, like, look, just keep writing the song. You know, I mean, what if it doesn't matter if it's not a Moonlight Social song. Like, if it sounds like a Jody Messina song, like, that's still cool, man.
It's like Guy Clark said, sometimes you write the song, sometimes the song writes you.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and you know, one of the first things we did when we got here was go on a songwriting retreat with a bunch of people we'd never met through a great, you know, kind of connection, and it was like awesome. And we still keep up with those people, and they come in and we still write, and like that would never have happened.
It was the first time it was all different kinds of genres. It was just songwriters, you know. Some people came from Nashville or country, some people were pop, some people were like
UK, Canadians, we had Swedish, I was like a Swede.
The only problem
Swedish fish.
The only problem with writing with Canadians is you have to figure out what to rhyme A with.
right.
And everything is not about it's a boot, and then you just don't know. Like, what kind of boot? What kind of boot are we talking about here? Like,
They just say sorry like 6 times.
Your new single, you're kind of approaching things differently with that. 'Cause your last single, you attacked radio with it, and this time you're doing something a little bit different.
and that's a big difference too between Texas and here, is that in Texas it doesn't cost, they have a whole Texas radio infrastructure, and it's, I mean, when I say it doesn't cost that much, I'm saying usually $3,000 to $5,000 plus whatever it costs to go out and visit the stations, like in gas, you know, and that is amazingly cheap when you talk about the hundreds of thousands of dollars to millions of dollars it costs to attack major commercial.
Yeah, you can pay anywhere from $1,500 a month to $15,000 a month just for radio airplay, and that's not including the radio tours.
Exactly.
And it's not even guaranteeing that. But like, if I go to a tiny radio station in Texas, they are going to play our song. Like, I know that for a fact.
Yeah. And you know, with that, it's like we released Rub a Little Dirt on It. We were just heading south, and we released Rub a Little Dirt on It. And both of them did pretty well at Texas radio, and we got great feedback. And we did a music video for Rub a Little Dirt on It that got
which was really fun.
Thank you.
Fun video.
Yeah, it got like 250,000 views on Facebook, and you know, another 60 or 70,000 on YouTube. So it's like that was all awesome and a great way to kind of reintroduce this new thing. And then with Make You Smile, the latest single, we said, okay, what's the best way to reach the people who are most likely going to want to hear what we do? Because in the grand scheme of things, we're still a tiny blip on the music radar. We had our fan base in Texas, now we're in Nashville. I mean, they're still with us, but it's a different kind of vibe when you can't play there all the time. And it's like, let's go to Spotify and let's do something that I believe country has been hesitant to do, which is really embrace the streaming world and really.
Because I'm an old geezer. I don't want to stream. I want to own it.
Yeah.
I want my library that's mine.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's a huge thing that people, I think, are grasping with, is how do we satisfy both the, you know, the traditional whole physical market and the early streaming market? And we say, well, streaming is for early adapters, right? Everybody who's been involved. It takes a long time to pull other people in to streaming. It's only at like 3% in the world. I mean, it's crazy. But so down the road, when we have other things in the works that we're working on, you know, that's when we want people to come back and buy the physical copies and the vinyl and all that cool stuff. But right now, it's about getting people excited about this kind of thing because they've never heard it, and we want people to feel like they're discovering something because they are. You know, I mean, we're still undiscovered to a lot of people, and Spotify is a really amazing way to do that.
You just posted a video. We reposted it on our Facebook page about how you've been added not to specific playlists, but a lot of playlists.
Yeah.
And that's a big deal for us because
Bam!
end of sentence. And that's a big thing for us because it's a long process. It's similar to radio. People can be promoting a song at radio for a year before it gets to #1. With Spotify, it's very similar, but we started out with a couple people who had a lot of people following their playlist, putting their songs on a playlist. And then eventually, Spotify, you know, whatever it is, the computer, or maybe it's a human, I don't know how it works necessarily, but they'll hear it and they'll say, this song is getting some love from a lot of different people. Let us put it into a bunch of what's called Discover Weekly playlists. So every user on Spotify has their own list of songs that they probably haven't heard, but would also probably like. And that's a huge thing for somebody like us, because, you know, we're seeing just this week, that happened just this week, and we're seeing thousands of streams a day, and, you know, tons of saves and tons of followers and people who are like, who are these Moonlight Social guys? I want to go check them out.
And it's on, I think, over like 80 personal playlists now.
That's
that
90,
is-
97.
Yeah.
Wow.
So people are just adding it because they're hearing it on this Discover Weekly thing. And that to me is what I'm talking about, the power of Spotify, right? Radio, if you're lucky to get some spins and people hear you, they might like it and be like, that was cool, but you have to keep playing it for them. When it's on Spotify, there's a sense of discovery and a sense of ownership that people really like.
Yeah, I guess, I've never heard it quite put like that, because radio, you don't have that sense of, I discovered this song. You've been fed the song, which is neither good or bad, it's just different.
This is what it is,
Well,
exactly.
and it's also, I think the great thing, and maybe one of the downsides of traditional radio, is that if I hear a song for the first time, I'm like, oh my god, I love that song.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
I don't.
They don't
what
even
if I
tell you
don't
who it
know
was
what-
anymore.
Yeah, like what if I don't know what the title was, or who sang it, or maybe they're not selling it yet, and I'm like, I don't even know how to request this. But
Yeah.
if you're streaming, I can save it. I can listen to it
Whenever you
100
want.
times
Yeah.
in a row. if I
Unless
want
you're,
to.
one of the top artists on the radio, and then you hear the song about 40 times a
The
day.
top of the
And
hour,
that's,
every hour.
that's where the power is. And we do, I listen to the radio all the time, and
Yeah.
I want to stay up to date, but the power is in repetition of songs.
Yeah,
They say it takes...
a song is an ad,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing. An ad, you have to hear it 7 times before you realize you've heard
That's
it
just what to
once.
say, yeah.
And if a radio station has 100,000 listeners, well, not that whole 100,000 is going to hear that song at the same time. So you need a ton of spins for every person that listens to that station who have heard it.
Yep. And you need them to want to bring you into talk in the morning, and you need them to want to put them on their weenie roast in the summer,
that's
and
right. That's a long, expensive process.
So we don't have that kind of money right now, and we are doing what we got with what we got. So
Well, we've talked about the song. You want to play it? You want to play something?
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Now it's just you.
What does your shirt say?
sorry.
What's your shirt say?
Oh, my shirt says mucho trabajo, poco dinero, which roughly means
Many problems, little money.
much work, little money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we're-
Not problem. Much work, little money.
We,
Yeah.
fun fact about this shirt, we were trying to figure out what Jeremy was going to wear for the Rub a Little Dirt on It video, and I had to go get like an actual outfit and stuff, and we're in like a Macy's or a JCPenney, and I'm like, what if we just got you a bunch of really funny shirts? So we got like 5 different shirts, and that
That's
was
cool.
one of them.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyways.
So yeah, this one is called Make You Smile, and it's a little bit, we kind of worked up a slightly different acoustic version to kind of capture that vibe, which, by the way, we have an acoustic video of it coming up soon. So.
Oh, excellent. We'll make sure that we put it up on our Facebook page too. I love this song partially because I gotta say my
Plug away.
my wife Jolie co-wrote this. The second
Yes.
one, she loves writing with you guys.
Yes, this is the second one we co-wrote. Second one, third one we co-wrote. Second one we cut code. You got a pretty high percentage, man. Yeah.
Well, I think you know where you need to be.
I just remember you ate all our candy that one time.
I think it's the animals. I think that's what it is.
Blame it on the end.
Yeah, Dixie. Hey stranger, why the long face? How can you look so alone in such a crowded place?
Hey stranger, I could ask you the same. You ain't fooling no one. Let's cut to the chase. I know you're heartbroken, lost hope. It's easy to see. So take a small chance on my hand and dance with me. Whoa, spin you round. Whoa, you might not know it now. I'm gonna make you smile if it takes all night. It ain't all okay, but it's alright. It ain't all okay, but it's alright.
Oh. So let me guess, he left you for a blonde,
I bet she made you cry like a country song.
and all your friends wouldn't let you stay at home.
Now you're out here acting like there's nothing wrong. I know you're heartbroken, lost hope, it's easy to see. So take a small chance on my hand and dance with me. Whoa, spin you round. The next 3 minutes won't change your life, but you get a little better one song at a time. The next 3 minutes won't change your life, but you get a little better one song at a time. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm gonna make you smile if it takes all night. It ain't all okay, but it's alright. Whoa, spin you around. Whoa, you might not know it now. I'm gonna make you smile if it takes all night. It ain't all okay, but it's alright. It ain't all okay, but it's alright.
Very cool. Moonlight Social and Make You Smile. That's their latest. Make sure you go and stream that and save it on Spotify. Something that's kind of unrelated. When you were recording Rub a Little Dirt on It, you were doing some Facebook Live stuff from the studio. And it was really interesting watching you work because you really get into the arrangement and you're very specific about what you want when you're in there doing it.
So I'm kind of a control freak, but I also But I also have a background in recording, and I have a background in composition, and I've done a lot of different work with our songs. I mean, I cut all our demos and everything, so everything that we've done, I've co-produced, and that kind of comes with that territory. And also having somebody who can strongly tell me when my ideas are bad, or all I ask is that we give it a shot, right? And like, there's actually video of us in the studio with this song where we'll be talking to these amazing players. The guys who played with us all play for Lee Bryce, and so they're in there playing. I'm like, hey, can we try something? And then they play it, and I'm like, I was wrong, guys. That was perfect, and I was wrong.
I take it back.
It was not a good idea.
Yeah, because you see sometimes artists will get in there, especially newer artists that have this idea, and they're going to do that idea whether it sucks or not. That's what they want to do. It's rare to see somebody like yourselves where you not only control the recording process, but you control the ice machine.
Right?
The metaphorical ice machine. It's a Nashville term that we all use.
Right.
The ice machine,
The recording process for Rub a Little Dirt on It, I think, taught us a lot as well. So it was our first experience with recording in Nashville, which is a much different process than pretty much everywhere else that I've been to. So we went in to Rub a Little Dirt on It. We had a producer. He had this song. He charted this song out. He brought guys in. We had never met them before. Gave them the charts. We ran through it once. They made notes. They made, I've got this idea. I've got that idea. And then it was maybe 3 times through and done. Like, all right, guys, let's go to lunch. We were like, wait, what happened? Like, I guess.
So we're like, well, can we
song?
do this differently? And then we get in there and like, okay, can we do this? And like, I want to add, like, he didn't hear banjo on it, but I was like, I hear banjo on it, but it wasn't like a typical like, So it's definitely kind of that process, which might be frustrating to some other my fellow control freaks. But
it's funny because Aaron Watson, his new album was produced by Keith Stigall, and there was a story about how Keith is like do a song a day and very slow, and Aaron's like, no, I play honky tonks every night of the week. We don't have to preserve my voice, and they did the whole album in like a day. The Nashville process can be a bit of a machine.
Yeah, it was like kind of taught me to be like, if you have an idea, if you want to say something, do it, because these guys are good at what they do and they work fast. So if you don't put it out there, nobody's gonna know nobody's gonna know what's in your head or what idea you had or what changes you wanted to make or anything. So I was like, okay, it helped me for sure find my voice, because I'm like, I am an artist, I am one half of this artist, and if my ideas are important.
Is coming into Nashville and going through that process, was it intimidating the first time?
I think it would have been intimidating if I would have been here longer and known more the types of people that, like,
If you'd known any better.
If I'd known any better, it would be more intimidating. But now I'm like,
you didn't know what you didn't know.
Exactly. And honestly, man, the more we meet people and the more people who are amazing and control a lot of different things and have done a lot of amazing things, the more I'm just like, they're just normal people.
Yeah.
right? So we're all just kind of figuring it out, and if we fail forward.
It's funny,
know.
you don't often hear Nashville people described as normal.
Right. Yeah.
We're normal in our weird little bubble
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Right. I feel like you definitely, there's a little bit of a pulling the curtain back type thing.
Yeah.
Like once you see the inner workings of
It's
the
like,
music
I
system
get it.
here, you're like, oh, well, you know, you're a fantastic guitar player, but you're just a normal person. Like you wake up,
not me.
You need, in fact, we need him to play. No, I'm joking.
There you go.
I can play Love Me Tender, single
Right.
notes, open chords.
There
You know, like you meet a producer and you're like, oh my gosh, like you have a gold record, you have a platinum record, whatever, but it's like you still wake up in the morning and you make coffee and you put your cream and your sugar in it.
I
like
don't.
a
I
normal
get somebody
person.
to make it. I know.
Because of your guitar skills, yeah.
And my coffee making skills are equivalent to my guitar skills.
Like,
I'm really proud of what's going on with you guys. It's really
Thank
cool.
you so much, man. Appreciate that.
Moonlight Social, again, check them out on Spotify and save them and listen to the music as often as you can. It's really cool. What have you got planned for the rest of the remaining year?
So we've got obviously more content coming out. There's gonna be more stuff with Make You Smile, as I had mentioned. Eventually, we're gonna also do some really cool stuff with getting people involved. We want to send them some personalized patches of things that make us smile. So we're gonna do kind of a contest around that. And we do have
all non-specific.
all non-specific,
Yeah.
yeah. And we do have other cool things to pay attention to that I can tell you about when the stream is over.
I can
Alright.
specifically tell you that I'm going to eat lunch today.
Yes.
I know that.
And
for a
that
fact.
I'm playing some music tonight for Americana Fest, and that we've got some more shows coming up.
Cool.
And that you should also pay attention to those on.
And so it's Facebook page. Make sure you go check that out.
Yep.
Spotify, everything, all the socials. You got your website.
Yeah, the website's up. Most of it just leads you back to Facebook or Spotify, but we've got a bio and all that.
Yeah,
So.
which is the best because you're always on social media.
Yeah,
and
we love it.
you know, websites. It's like I'll do that later.
Yeah, we love being actually able to see people like tell us in real time, and even if they don't like, you know, we don't. Everything we get is not always love. We get a lot of love, but we also get people who aren't loving us,
Yeah.
and so we just love
I'm
responding
familiar
and
with
loving them.
Yeah, for the longest time, like the interactions that we got on Facebook, it was like our friends or family or
Yeah.
fans that we had met in Texas, and then we released this song and pushed it on Spotify, and it got a lot more ears, a lot more eyes, stuff like that, and we started getting comments that were not so positive, and we always just respond to them like, "We think you're great. Thank you so
Or like
much."
somebody, one person. Sorry, I know we're running
Yeah.
long, but like one example is like, you know, somebody who will say something like, "Oh well, you know, this song's okay," and I was like, "Yeah, we almost called it Make You." and then they respond, and then like a little bit later, like, well, the more I listen to this, the more I really like it. And then all of a sudden, you know, a couple comments later, they're like fans, like, where can I find you on Spotify? They're sending us private messages, like, I like your stuff.
It's all
you know?
but it's just like music has always been about building relationships. And if somebody says, "Hey, you suck," how do you win them over? Rather than just
Yeah, it's the honey versus vinegar thing, man. You catch more flies with honey. So
Kill them with niceness.
you just kill them. Actually, no.
yeah.
Oh no, this took a dark
Hunt
turn.
them down
Kill
and kill
them
them.
with kindness.
Yeah, we can find your web provider. That's,
Yeah, we're slowly killing our career right
Yeah.
now. Is what we're doing.
Moonlight Social, please check them out. And the more you download their song and get revenue coming in, the richer they get, and the more you
Richer
make my
she
wife
gets.
smile. Too.
Yeah, the richer she
Make
gets.
everyone
So
smile.
we're all getting rich today.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody's getting rich off Spotify.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that later after this
Yeah.
too, I guess.
Thanks for joining us, and don't forget to check out Moonlight Social.
Ciao.